Okay, so let's talk about what I believe are the 6 greatest investments that any single person can make that will make you rich for life. Now, historically speaking and statistically speaking, these investments have generated phenomenal returns. They've helped mitigate risk because they create great diversification. And did I mention that they help you make a lot of money? So let's go ahead and get started. Hey, what is up, everybody? My name is Sean. I am a life and finance coach. Now, if you are all about financial freedom, creating life on your terms, then I would highly suggest that you smash that like button for me. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button for the YouTube algorithm. That kind of helps push this video and get it seen more by other people. And in addition to that, I'm going to provide some links below to some videos that you may really enjoy. So be sure to check those out at the end of this video. So the whole purpose of this video is to help you find some investments that require very little time or very little effort. Meaning that you're not going to have to spend endless hours scouring through endless forums, going on Reddit, trying to find the next big thing or the next meme stock that you can hopefully 10x your money, but at the same time, you're staying up late at night worrying about whether or not you're going to tank, whether you should buy, whether you should sell. These are investments that historically speaking have generated massive returns. They are way less risky and they can pretty much guarantee that you're going to do very, very well over the course of the years. Now, make sure you stay to the end because I'm going to be sharing some asset allocation tips and how I think you should spread out your money accordingly amongst the different asset classes. Now, the very first investment on our list is the S&P 500, and this is pretty much an absolute fan favorite. So this is one that you're going to hear quite a bit about and you probably have heard of already. Now, the S&P 500 has historically returned 10% since the inception of it in 1926. And over the last 10 years, it's returned upwards of 13 to 14%, which is absolutely phenomenal. Now, for those of you who have not heard of the S&P 500, the S&P 500 is simply a collection of individual stocks comprised in a fund. They are companies like Apple, Amazon, Tesla, Johnson & Johnson, Microsoft, Nvidia. It is essentially the 500 largest traded companies. Now, the whole point of the index fund is that instead of having to go in and buy each individual stock, you can actually just take your money, invest into one fund that then automatically spreads that money amongst all different companies. Now, this saves you a lot of time, not having to go into each individual stock and buying those, but it also saves you a lot of money. Let's think about it this way. Let's say you go to the grocery store and you're going to the fruit section and you want to buy every single fruit in that section. Well, instead of going in individually and having to buy every single fruit, spending a lot of money and a lot of time, you can just go over and buy a little sampler platter for a fraction of the cost that gives you just a little bit of a taste test of every single fruit. That's the same way the S&P 500 works, is that you don't have to go in and buy every individual stock. You can just put your money into one fund that then spreads it out over every single stock, which is the top 500 traded companies on the S&P. Now, there's a lot of different names for the S&P 500 index fund, and it depends on which institution, what brokerage firm that you invest in. Vanguard has the VFIAX, Fidelity has FXAIX, Schwab has SWPPX, and there are also ETF versions such as VOO, VOO, or SPY, SPY. Now, the second investment on this list is the Total Market Index Fund. Now, the Total Market Index Fund actually tracks all of the companies publicly traded on the stock exchange, as opposed to the S&P 500, which only trades the 500 largest companies. So when you invest in a Total Market Index Fund, you're also getting the small companies or the small caps, the medium-sized companies or medium cap companies, in addition to the large cap or the large companies like the S&P 500. Idea behind this is when you invest in smaller companies and medium-sized companies, there's a lot more room for growth. So people who invest in the Total Market Index usually are doing so because they want to try to have a little bit greater opportunity to outperform the S&P 500. Now, keep in mind, when you invest in a Total Market Index Fund and an S&P 500 index fund, you're going to get some overlap. You're going to see some of the same companies within both, but I don't really think that's that much of a problem. Now, there's a lot of funds that track the total market, but you could be doing things like Fidelity's FSKAX, Vanguard's VTSAX, or Schwab's SWTSX. But overall, the Total Market Index is a phenomenal way of creating even more diversification, because not only are you invested in the large cap companies, but you're also invested in small and medium-sized cap. Now, the third one on the list is international index funds. So we're talking a lot about diversification. And when we talked about the S&P 500 and the Total Market Index Fund, that creates great diversification within the US stock stock market, but those are only US stocks. We have to keep in mind there's a whole global economy out there. And so if you invest in an international index fund, not only are you diversifying in the US stock market, but now you're diversifying in international stocks. Now, keep in mind, historically speaking, over the last 10 years, the US stock market has completely outperformed international stock markets. However, there have been times in the past or in history where the US stock market did not perform as well and international stocks have. So that's why I think it could be important that you have a little bit of your money attached to international stock markets, just in case if we happen to have a period in the future where the US stocks are not performing as well, we may have some better performance out of the international stock market. That way you have greater diversification and you can keep growing your money faster. Some great funds for an international index fund are Fidelity's FSPSX, you have Vanguard's VTWSX, and Schwab's SWISX. So this brings us to the fourth investment, which is real estate. Now, so far we've been talking about stocks, but in order to have a very balanced and well-diversified portfolio, you want to make sure that you're investing in other asset classes as well. And I truly love real estate. And in fact, it's probably my absolute favorite asset class among any other asset class for many reasons. So let's talk about those. The very first thing that I love about real estate is that you have so much control over it. I mean, you can actually go in and add value and force appreciation. You can figure out how much you need to rent something out for. It's pretty easy to also look at how much something's going to cost, run the numbers, and see how much profit you're going to make. When it comes to investing in stocks, you don't always have that luxury. The other thing that I love about real estate is that it's just not going to go anywhere. Everybody has to have a place to live. So unlike certain companies and certain products that may be hot right now, but eventually fade away, real estate is never going to go anywhere. People are always going to need a place to live, and there's always going to be renters. And for that reason, I absolutely love this asset class. The other thing that I love about real estate as well is leverage. You only have to put down 10 or 20% of your own money, and you can get a loan and have leverage for an asset that's worth way more than the amount of money that you have. For instance, if you're putting 10% down on a $200,000 property, you only have to invest $20,000 to have control over a $200,000 asset. This is something that's very challenging in the stock market without having a lot of risk. Other things I love about real estate is that there's so many different ways in which you can make money. Not only can the house appreciate, but you can get cash flow every month from rental income. You can also use real estate to lower your expenses. You could live in a room and rent out the other ones. And not only that, one of the other reasons that make real estate so phenomenal is the tax advantage. There are so many tax loopholes and tax shelterings that you can do owning real estate. And for that reason, I absolutely love real estate. Now, the fifth investment on our list is cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. Now, this is one that I kind of went back and forth in putting on this list because it is a much newer asset class and we really don't have a lot of historical data to know exactly how this particular asset class is going to go. But here's the deal. Over the last 10 years, cryptocurrency and Bitcoin has been the absolute best performing asset class by a landslide. So even though there's a lot of risk in terms of what may happen in the future, because there's so much upside potential, I do think it's worth having a very small portion of your portfolio or your money tied to this particular asset class. So the sixth investment is investing in yourself. And I would argue that investing in yourself is probably one of the greatest investments that you can make. Investing in yourself can help you learn some high-paying skill sets that allow you to double, triple, 4 times, maybe even up to 10 times your income. This is such an important component because while it's important to be saving and investing your money, if you don't make very much and you don't save very much, it can be very, very challenging to build wealth over time. So when you can actually find a high-paying skill set that you can learn, where you can double, triple, or even up to 10x your money, that allows you to save at a much faster rate and allows you to spend a lot more money investing in other vehicles or asset classes. Investing in yourself can help you grow in so many ways in terms of your well-being, your confidence, your abilities, and overall, I don't think it's ever a bad thing to invest in yourself. So let's talk about asset allocation and what percentages of your money should go to each individual asset class. Now, keep in mind that there's not one rule of thumb or one right way of doing this. It's going to depend on a lot of factors, such as how much risk you want to take on, how much knowledge you have in each individual industry, or what kind of lifestyle that you want to live, or how much effort that you want to put towards each individual investment. So because of that, the percentages can vary greatly. Now, for me, I like to have around 50 to 55% or more of my money in real estate, and that's because I have a lot of knowledge in real estate. I love it because there's so much control, and I love the cash flow that it produces. From there, I probably have about 40% of my money in different funds and stocks. Of that 40%, I would say, 25% could go to an S&P 500 index fund. Maybe put 10% towards a total market fund. And then you could have around like 5% going towards an international index fund. And because there's so much upside potential with cryptocurrency that it may even 10x from here, we don't know what's going to happen with it. I think even just having a very small percentage, 3 to 5%, even a little less, it's a fantastic amount to put in. If it does 10x from here, that 3% could become a very significant portion of your portfolio from there. So I do think that because there's so much upside, even though there's also a lot of risk to it, I do think the upside potential outweighs the risk. So it is important to have maybe just a little bit of your money attached to cryptocurrency. But anyways, that is it for today. If you love this video, make sure you smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button as well, and that notification bell that will help you find other videos of mine that will be released or that I have currently. Make sure you check out those videos in the description box below for some other great content on creating financial freedom and living life on your terms. Let's get out there and let's crush it.